Today's press conference should be another very clear message to the general public that people who commit acts of gun violence in our communities will see an appropriately long sentence in custody.
Y'all see that face? That's not a fucking laughing face no more. I told you, young, stop playing with these fucking white people.
Popular Philly rapper Leaf Ward has been arrested and charged with a slew of charges, including weapon possession by a felon, driving a stolen car, and having drugs in his possession.
Philly rapper Hopoutblick, who's been arrested and charged with 3 murders after a robbery gone wrong.
You playing with Larry Krabs on his face, got that many videos drawn. This ain't, you ain't laughing no more. Yeah, you ain't laughing no more.
Philadelphia is one of the wildest, most treacherous cities in the country. Kids are crashing out at extreme rates, driving record numbers in crime, and everything is being documented in the drill music coming out of the city. The previous video on this topic introduced the scene and brought up some of the similarities between Philly drill and Chicago drill, the biggest one being the amount of activity in the streets drillers were getting away with. But since that time, the scene has done a complete 180. The police are cleaning up the streets and taking down as many people contributing to the violence as possible. Philly drill rappers have been getting locked up more frequently than rappers from basically any other scene in America, and this new movement in the city that blew up over the past 3 years has come crashing down in record time. So in this video, we'll take a look into the collapse of Philly drill. This is part 2 of the Philly drill series, so if you haven't seen part 1 and want the full story, go check it out first. The link will be in the description. For those who just want a summary, Philly drill initially started as another wave of regular rap, pushed by names like Leaf Ward, Core, and King Lord in the era from 2017 to 2019. From 2019 to 2020, more names continue popping up like SimxSantana, Lil Bucks, One Mirror, and Poundside Pop. Then from 2020 to 2023, the disrespect, violence, and chaos skyrocketed, and it really turned into a full-on drill scene. This is when people like OT7 Quanny, Tali, and Ybcdul made their names on the scene. Local beefs became very present in the music, and as a result, they developed intense attention from bystanders. There were countless conflicts across the city, but the most covered one on the internet was the North Philly war between Zoo Gang, the group rep by rappers like OT7 Quanny and Poundside Pop, and Black Flags, the group rep by rappers like YP Slumboy and Ybcdul. This beef became extremely publicized, and people made extensive documentaries on all the people involved. The Berkstmanman situation, where he lost his life days after dropping a diss, brought tons of attention as people documented what was happening. The passing of other rappers / drillers who were extremely active in the beef, like Glizzy and Blumberg G's, had a similar effect, with people all over YouTube making in-depth documentaries on these figures, their history in the streets, and the events that led up to their demise. The second biggest beef in the city when it came to music was the West Philly rivalry between CCK, a group rep by rappers like Lil Bucks and Young Liv, and YBC, a group rep by rappers like Ybcdul and Mir Pablo. The level of disrespect in the music and the antics of popular rappers on both sides had everyone talking. YBC especially received tons of attention because people saw in real time what happens when you're the most hated group in the city and how fast you start racking up losses. Fans watch YBC drop ultra disrespectful songs like So Many Names and Talks, and hop on Instagram Live talking recklessly, and then heard about YBC members losing their lives back to back. During this chaotic period, basically everything was in the music. Philly artists were hopping on Detroit beats, confessing to crimes, and dissing the dead at an extreme rate. Many of the so-called rappers were full-time drillers completely dedicated to spinning blocks who just used rap as another way to get at their ops, and this was very clear when people like Reek 1200, F5, and Lil Bape were arrested and charged for catching bodies. There were also numerous rappers who lost their lives over the conflict, and this included people like Berkstmanman, Shot Glizzy, Deke Loco, Bumberg G's, Da Fetty, J100, and many more. Out of everybody rapping, Leaf Ward and OT7 Quanny were the two most successful, and both had an impressive amount of songs that all had view counts in the millions. The two were generating a ton of buzz in Philadelphia and expanding to make names for themselves outside of the city. Behind them, Lil Bucks was the third latest drill artist in Philly, and he also had several songs with millions. After Bucks, Ybcdul was the fourth most talked about, after his explosion onto the scene in 2022, where he brought a level of disrespect that was crazy even by Philly drill standards, to the point that he gave himself the name Mr. Disrespectful. Everybody was not a fan of the new drill scene, and in August of 2022, Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner warned all the gangs in the city that indictments are on the way.
Today we want to send a very clear message to the members of O to the 4. You like that name? How about go to the jail?
And in late 2022, several members of Lil Bucks' O to the 4 gang were taken down.
Police arrest the suspected shooters during a major gang bust.
Before I wrote a rap, these bitches heard of me. I'm known for at least 80 in a cut just for emergencies.
Through 2023, things mostly remained the same. In May, YBC rapper Reek 1200 was sentenced with 35 to life for a body, serving as an example of the real consequences of choosing to run around in the streets and live the lifestyle these rappers were promoting. In July, Young Cheese, the son of famous Philly rapper and personality Gilly the Kid, lost his life in a tragic situation that showed just how treacherous the Philly scene was. Cheese was merely associated with certain people, and this was all it took for drillers to target him and take him away from his family. The situation got the whole city talking, and due to the global presence of the $1 million worth of game platform, the whole hip-hop world heard about what happened and paid their respects. Meanwhile, on the music scene, Leaf Ward and OT7 Quanny were still leading. They weren't dropping very frequently, but when they did, their releases made tons of noise. In April, they dropped a song called Power that went extremely viral, racking up over 4 million views at the time of this recording. In summer of 23, Lil Bucks was on a run, and every video he was dropping on YouTube was pulling close to 1 million views. Things were going up, and the Philly drill scene had a good amount of potential, but in August, things started to fall apart. And one by one, Philly drill rappers started to go down.
We ain't worried about the ops because we switched up. All this horsepower and SRT, I told it giddy up.
On August 14th, Lil Bucks was arrested. And not much is known about his situation other than the fact that he's been in and out the system for years and was serving a 2-year probation, leading many to believe that he violated it, possibly flashing straps or bags of za in his music videos. Bucks' beef in the street continued in jail, and shortly after he was booked, his ops hopped on Instagram claiming that he had been poked up. On August 16th, 2 days after Bucks was picked up by authorities, Leaf Ward was arrested after driving a stolen Dodge Charger to go on a date at the Bahama Breeze next to King of Prussia Mall. The police went into the restaurant to detain him, and he tried to flee but was caught. He had a Glock with an extended mag as well as pills on him, and to make matters worse, when he was arrested, he gave the officers a fake name. So he ended up being charged with possessing a firearm as a convicted felon, several drug-related misdemeanors, evading and resisting arrest, recklessly endangering another person, and providing false identification to law enforcement. He was locked up with bail set at $150,000 and is still sitting at the time of this recording. Leaf was one of the biggest Philly artists on the scene, and him getting locked up was a huge blow to the movement. On August 29th, Bucks was officially sentenced to 1.5 to 3 years in a correctional facility. Another big blow because, as previously mentioned, Bucks was top 3 when it came to Philly drill rappers doing numbers. In September, 2 more rappers went down, and both Hopoutblick and Ybcdul were booked. Ybcdul was picked up on firearm charges, but Hopoutblick was charged with 2 bodies in a crazy situation that had his name all over the internet. In April, he had allegedly been a part of an attempted robbery where 2 teenagers showed up to buy straps from Blick and 2 of his associates. But the whole purchase was really just a setup to rob them. The teenagers didn't give up the money and tried to retaliate, leading to weapons being pulled and both teenagers getting hit several times and losing their lives, as well as one of the robbers who was with Blick. In July, the cops put out a warrant for the arrest of Hopoutblick and his friend involved in the robbery, leading to them going on the run. But instead of laying low, Blick continued putting out music, reaching ARAB levels of self-snitching, speaking on the situation, dissing the people he was accused of offing, and literally detailing exactly how the situation played out, and the song Took a Risk. In September, authorities caught up to him and finally put him behind bars. The Philly scene is relatively underground, and big channels don't usually cover it, but the Hopoutblick situation was so crazy that big channels like End of Sentence and Hip Hop Daily made videos on it. Despite him being way more focused on the streets, Hopoutblick was actually one of the bigger rappers on the Philly drill scene and had songs with over 1 million views before the situation even went down. After the story came out, his fame hit another level and his music took off even more. But this obviously meant nothing because it was very clear that he wouldn't be getting out anytime soon, if ever. The same month Blick was locked up, Hoodfamous J, another well-known Philly rapper from an area known as The Pit, was picked up on firearm charges, which he is still sitting in jail for at the time of this writing. Out of all the poppin' Philly drill rappers, Hood Tali P was one of the smarter ones who decided to move out of the city and down to Atlanta, but unfortunately, he was still unable to avoid trouble. In December, he was back in the city. Police caught him with the pole and controlled substances, and he was booked. He was granted bail, but as far as fans are aware, he's still sitting in jail today. In January, G12 Za was sentenced to 6 years for several charges he picked up between 2021 and 2023, ranging from assault to possession of firearms and controlled substances with intention to distribute. The 2023 charges even happened in a situation that went down on Instagram Live, where you can see Za notice the police and take off running. Za was another big Philly artist with millions of views and a promising career, so his sentencing was another big loss for the scene. Around the same time, Philly rapper Young Liv caught a weapons charge and was taken off the streets as well. In early 2024, a Philly drill page made a post about all the Philly rappers currently locked up, and it was the majority of the rappers on the scene with any type of name, and basically everybody had the same story. Either they crashed out and caught bodies, or were caught with straps and pills on them.
I'm ballin', I never get subbed. What the fuck is you flexing? Yeah, that's just I'm the king of this skin shit, nigga, let's go. I've been jugging all day, sipping dirty Fago.
OT7 Quanny was one of the few to avoid jail time, but despite being free, he was nowhere to be found. He dropped a total of 4 songs the entire year, choosing to stick to his same promotion strategy of dropping songs and snippets on Instagram, growing his following at a fast pace, and leaving fans waiting for new music on YouTube and streaming services. In August, when Lil Bucks and Leaf Ward were free, they were spotted with Quanny in the studio alongside G Herbo, and leaks ended up surfacing, but no music dropped officially. In November, Quanny appeared on a song with the famous scam rapper Punch Made Dev, and it was a huge record for both of them, racking up a couple million views on YouTube. The song helped to introduce Quanny to a new audience and boost the already crazy rate his fame was growing at. In December, he collabed with Booba100, a New York YouTuber, to give fans a glimpse of his life, showing meetings, studio sessions, and other activities he was up to on a regular basis.
Already, sir? What I gotta do to be a part of your movement? Huh?
The video racked up hundreds of thousands of views and showed how popular Quanny was becoming and his appeal to audiences outside of Philadelphia. In early January, when D-Thang, one of the most popular drill rappers in New York, was released, the fans found out that he and Quanny had become cool and were hanging together frequently. Quanny appeared in D-Thang's first music video out of jail, and footage was released of the two of them together in the studio making music. From September of 2023 through early 2024, Quanny was able to experience extreme growth in his career through his rare and occasional drops, key collabs, and mysterious appearances and link-ups with other artists. He became the biggest underground artist in Philadelphia by far, and one of the few free ones still left. However, there were still a couple of others. Tour wasn't extremely consistent, but he was able to continue his motion, dropping here and there, pulling hundreds of thousands of views across his videos. Also, in West Philly, somehow through all his dissing and antics, Ybcdul had managed to stay alive and free, and he, along with Mir Pablo and Lil Riz, continued putting on for the group, releasing music as well as pulling antics on social media to get people talking. In the middle of everything going on, the Philly rapper Skrilla was making a lot of noise, doing things his own way. His unique drugged out sound started catching on, and in late 2023, going into 2024, he had a couple songs hit 500,000 views. He also got everybody in Philly talking by appearing on songs with artists like Ybcdul, Hood Tali, Poundside Pop, and Lil Bucks, despite the beef going on between groups like Glizzy Gang and the Zoo and YBC and CCK. Outside of Quanny, Tour, Dul, Mir, Skrilla, and a couple other artists, the Philly drill scene was basically cooked. Uncoincidentally, with all the rappers and drillers getting locked up the whole year, crime declined. In 2022, 514 people lost their lives to violence, but in 2023, this number decreased to 410, a 20% drop and positive step in the right direction. Homie rates dropped in basically every major city in the country, but Philadelphia had a more drastic decline, improving by 20% compared to places like New York and Chicago that were only in the mid-teens. So it appears that Philly District Attorney Larry Krasner was able to back up at least some of the things he was talking about in his press conferences. Philadelphia is still one of the most dangerous places in America and has a long way to go, but it appears to be heading in the right direction. As for Philly drill, the genre is on the decline and most likely will not recover. The movement was definitely not in the best interest of the well-being of the community. It's unfair to blame music for the entire problems of a city, but looking at all the situations that have played out in Philly drill specifically, for the majority of these events, you can point directly to the music and see how it played a role in rappers losing their lives or crashing out and getting locked up. However, the music has also had a silver lining because it has given opportunities to people who might not have had any otherwise. OT7 Quanny has taken off at a crazy rate over the past couple years, and given the right circumstances could possibly become a rap star. Likewise, rappers like Poundside Pop and Tour have developed their own unique styles far away from drill and are seeing success. And given that the majority are fighting cases that will result in less than 5 years, some of the rappers currently incarcerated still have a chance to make something out of themselves as musical artists. Hopefully, some of these rappers can come home, focus up, and take advantage of the opportunity in front of them to switch lanes and pursue serious careers in music. But there's no telling what anyone will do, so for now, we'll just have to wait and see.